Oh, that was faster than normal. Okay. So coming into the show in 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome to Tuesday and this special episode of All Elite Radio as we look back at this past weekend's Grand Slam Australia. Ashley, I gotta say the show was very entertaining. And I got to say that I think AEW was able to pull up on this crashing show and kind of made a safe landing here. How do you feel about the show we saw and how it played out?
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those shows that there was a lot of criticisms levied to certain aspects, some deserved, some not deserved. But I feel like this was run like an AEW pay-per-view, and I felt like the matches for being recorded and everything, even with spoilers being out there, felt like pay-per-view caliber matches.
I feel like the in-ring talent did a lot to make the show great, and I feel like they did went out there and did extra to make sure the crowd went home happy. Just for the crazy 3 to 4 months lead up to this show, where we had to change the venue, then we had issues with people getting rearranged tickets, then they had to go get a ring. So
Which apparently has been another point of contention. Um, those are like the ring stuff. Absolutely, people are overreacting to something that makes absolutely no sense. It would I mean, I get, like, they could have shipped their ring, but, like, when you have connections with wrestling companies, why spend all the money to ship what I'm sure cannot cost, a cheap price to ship all of the equipment for the ring across literally the world. Um, but the stuff with the seating, the tickets and stuff, that is absolutely stuff that there's criticism that deserves to be there, and that's something that I'm hoping Tony Khan and AEW learn the most from this experience.
well, we did learn from the show that they are returning to Australia in 2026. So they got a year to get ready for this, and I feel like they're going to come back to Australia with even a better show to make up for all the trouble going into this one. But let's start with the first match on this card. And boy, did they start with a barn burn. It's Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega versus Kyle Fletcher and Tatesha. And to me personally, Ashley, this was my favorite match on the card. And the finish of this match was amazing. How do you feel about this one?
I mean, this is for the best in the world. How can you be disappointed with this match? Um, eh, Kyle Fletcher being booed in Australia. This kid is killing it as a heel right now.
True, very true. I gotta say, a lot of people thought that he would be the babyface in this match. He made sure nobody in that crowd would cheer for him.
Absolutely. He's been killing it, and I like, every time we talk about Will Ospreay, I just feel like I have no words. Like, he's just so effortlessly athletic. He just looks like he can do anything. It's insane.
So the finish of this match was a joint one wing angel with a hidden blade off the top rope. Kyle Fletcher is perfectly saved here in the loss because it took both finishers from the baby faces to beat him.
Yeah, and Don Callis, not particularly thrilled with this outcome.
You know, Don did get involved there a little bit a couple of times, and he warned his guys that we can't let the baby faces get going. And unfortunately for the Don Callis family, Osprey and Omega were on firing on all cylinders. There wasn't any dissension there on that tag team.
They did, in fact, coexist.
I know. I was thinking like maybe this would be the one time where they would have played a little bit of that. Will they get along? Will they not get along? And it was a straight up babyface tag team match on their
Yeah,
side.
good to see, honestly. I like not having the drama on that side of it, at least yet.
Very true. So the second match was our TBS Championship match where we had Mercedes Monet versus Harley Cameron. And I gotta say, Harley Cameron made a great showing for herself going into the ring with Mercedes Monet. They had a great match. I just wish they would have gone with what we were thinking about last week and doing a flute win for Harley, because at the start of the match, Mercedes Moné is literally laying on top of the top rope, and I'm going like, "She's not taking her seriously. We could play this card."
I know. I definitely could have seen him pulling the trigger. I get why they didn't. It's Mercedes Moné, and I know they're gonna have her be the champion for a long time. Um, but man, Harley Cameron, like, if she was not if she was somehow not on your radar before, like, put her there now. Everything she did was great. She's got the charisma, she's athletic, she's funny. The shot of the puppet coming up over the apron before you even see her pop up had me I was dying. Like, I was laughing so hard. She looked great, and that crowd reaction is telling you what a star she's becoming.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love the fact that Mercedes just punked that, puppet, like, 4 rows deep, and next thing you see, like you said, is the puppet rising up, like, pissed off, and next thing you see a disheveled, Hardy Cameron there get back in the ring and went to town on Mercedes Moné.
Got to see a lot of different sides of her. I'm happy she got the spotlight, and with the way this women's division has been the past few months, we gotta start making a little bit more time for them on the, weekly show. I was glad to see a lot of time for them.
Yes, I feel like all these matches on this card got enough time, and I feel like having 5 matches was probably helpful in the fact that they were able to space these matches out and give them proper timing. One match that on paper going into that I was kinda excited for was the Brisbane Brawl where you had Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus Cope and Jay White. Maybe they just do too many street fights, and maybe it's AEW's got fallen to the stroke where they have, like, a street fight every so often, and I'm just like, "Oh, seen this, done that, okay, Edge Cope jumped off of something, okay, fine." I wasn't really into this match.
Yeah, I do feel like this may have been the weakest card, and but oddly, I feel like maybe the most surprising outcome on the card. I fully expected Cope and Jay White to take this one with the Revolution match coming up, and I'm I'm curious to see where we go. And I don't know how our plans have changed with Darby Allin stepping out the door, but it feels like we're about to find out how much they've shifted at Revolution.
I know what you mean, Ashley, because normal logic would tell you that the babyface should win this match going into Revolution if you're having John Moxley leave Revolution as your AEW World Champion. And at the beginning of this match, you have the crowd singing Cope's song, and he's just standing in the ring, soaking it in, an emotional moment for him. Why not call the audible and let him and Jay White win this match?
I don't know, especially with the support Jay White got, but I wanted to say that that was awesome when everybody sang that. It truly it made me miss Jericho and Judas and everybody who used to sing along with Judas and everything like that. I That stuff is awesome. I love when that stuff happens in wrestling.
But we do see the Death Riders get the victory here as Moxley was able to choke out Adam
Wheeler
Copeland.
Yuta.
And, we're gonna being in sacrificial lamb like he always is for a Death Riders match, just saying.
He is like my show.
At this point, he's really a crash test dummy. Just like they just throw him around whichever way they want to.
Yeah, he did take a Blade Runner. He's gotta always take one finisher at least.
Okay, so the fourth match on this card is your AEW Continental Championship match, Okada versus Buddy Matthews. I gotta say, they did a lot to get Buddy Matthews over, and my jaw hit the floor when he kicked out for the Rainmaker.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's did because That still has yet to be done in AEW.
I honestly feel like that was the first time in AEW, and I was trying to rack my brain to think about. I could literally probably count on one hand how many times I've ever seen a Rainmaker not finish a match, and I think the last time might have been Okada versus Omega.
And I like Buddy Matthews, we've talked about him kind of breaking out since the House of Black dissolved and became the Hounds of Hell, and we've seen more of his personality with the promos and the backstage segments. He's already done a lot of good in-ring work that we've seen, and I think this showcase was very good for him. We've already seen what Brody King has done and gotten himself over. Now we've kind of seen this with Buddy Matthews too. Let these guys run roughshod in the tag team division for a while. Because if you end up with the Hurt Syndicate versus the Hounds of Hell, Tony Khan, I wouldn't be angry.
Very true. Now, my thing was going into this match was we already saw Harley Cameron not gain the TBS championship. It kind of made me thinking maybe they would flip this on a flute here to Buddy Matthews. But we see the end of this match being Okada grabbing the referee, getting distracted, Lobo, Rainmaker, 1, 2, 3. He retains. I mean, we go on with the Continental Championship being with Okada. We don't know if he has a match yet at Revolution. Do you think he might? It
I'm
was
hoping. I feel like this is I feel like Okada's like been sort of adrift. We haven't done it like the Elite has been broken apart and they haven't come back together in quite some time. So everybody's just been kind of out on their own.
I know Okada's been like an island by himself, still playing this comedic heel character that really made more sense with him with the Elite. And now since they haven't been seen since last fall, it's like, what are we doing here? We have Okada. Can we not? I gotta say, this was probably the more Okada-ish style match we've seen out of this comedic Okada.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I think, and I like I said, I think this was the kind of showcase Buddy Matthews definitely needed. Like all eyes are already on Okada, and to to kind of finally see Buddy Matthews get this nice high marquee match was great.
I feel like there's a lot of things you can do with Buddy Matthews now, like going forward in the singles division. You can move him over to like the TNT Championship, maybe, and run through that level of competition, or you can circle back here with another Okada Buddy Matthews match. And I wouldn't complain either.
Yeah, I feel like you don't have him kick out of the Rainmaker, and you don't have big plans for him.
Exactly. I feel like that had to been a Okada approved one where Okada's gonna like, I'm gonna make this guy, so we're gonna let him do this.
Hey, if he wants to help him out, that match was great. So I, like you said, I wouldn't mind a rematch in the future.
Okay, so we're up to the main event. And I gotta say, this had to be the main event if you're gonna do Grand Slam of Australia. It's Timeless Tony Storm coming out in the Australian flag colors versus Mariah May. And this match was a freaking banger.
This was Tony Storm in Technicolor. um, yeah, honestly, I love it. I've done nothing but gush about this entire feud. So, I mean, again, putting on a great match. Timeless Tony Storm looks fantastic. I can't wait to see what Timeless Tony Storm is going to do next.
Well, during this match, there's a moment in here where we see Mariah May hit a Mayday, and I'm going like, are they gonna go 0 for 3 for the Australians in Grand Slam Australia? I was like going, is Tony gonna leave Grand Slam Australia like he did like Wrestle Dream, like where everything this was a sad ending to a pay-per-view? And I'm like, is he gonna do this?
I would hope not, especially with this. Yeah, especially when she hit the one on the outside because that looked like rough. That was a rough land.
Even at the start of the match, he had Thomas Tony Storm doing her best Brock Lesnar impersonation, where it was German suplex after German suplex after German suplex.
Yeah, yeah, and the crowd. I love when the crowd always encourages them to do one more time.
But I gotta say, it was a good run with Mariah May as this heel character. I don't I feel like you need to break these ladies apart for a bit, let them have their own, like, feuds going forward and maybe circle back later for this title, but I don't think after this match in Australia, you can bring these 2 ladies back for Revolution or anything close in the next couple of months, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I agree. During Tony Storm's sit down last week with Renee Paquette, she threw out a few names that I was thinking are sort of were hints of maybe people she's going to be challenging or having challenge her in the future. So I there were a few names in there that I would love to see, names like obviously like Megan Bayne and stuff like that, Chris Statlander. Um, I think the same. I think you have to separate them for a bit, but I think a little bit like maybe like Hangman and Swerve, I feel like these 2 are kind of interconnected, and I feel like eventually you can come back to it, and it'll feel like, like nothing has passed. They should still hate each other the same way. They should still feel about the same way about each other and everything. But I feel like you can kind of separate them. Mariah May has elevated herself. You can put her into like a nice feud with somebody now, somebody big time. I would give me Megan Bayne versus Mariah May. I want let's see what happens with that, you know?
At this point, this is where you wanna go, "Hey, I know AEW has a lot of titles, but man, they could use that AEW Women's Tag Team title division," and then you could have Mariah May and maybe Megan Vane join forces and be your tag team champions? I don't know, just saying.
That would be a scary team. Oh my god.
Overall, watching this 2 hours of Collision/ Grandslam Australia, Ashley, was it a hit or a miss?
For me, I feel like it was a hit. I like I said, the down match sort of the night being the brawl like you said, but I feel like the other matches were home runs in what they needed to accomplish. I mean, sure, they could have had different outcomes, but I feel like for right now, they're probably going to be the right outcomes, in as much as we might not, love the idea at the moment. But a lot of outcomes I wanted, and a lot of stuff I'm excited to see coming out of it.
For all the trouble this show had going for it, going into viewing it, I gotta say they did a great job pulling the sucker off, and I'm just hoping they learned the lessons that if they're going back in 2026, they make this a pay-per-view, they have it streaming live on Max, hopefully. That way, we can see it. If you wanna wake up 2:35 in the morning or whatever to watch it, we can watch it, and you give the Australians what they deserve, a totally legit pay-per-view experience.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, because that to me was I feel like the biggest stuff that AEW messed up here, bungled up here was the ticket stuff, the moving the venue, having everybody move and not honoring vouchers and swapping tickets and everything like that. They need to sort that stuff out, but as long as you said like they can come back next year and we've seen them doing things like Forbidden Door overseas and stuff, so never count out like an actual pay-per-view experience. They definitely deserve it, especially after they showed up and showed out for that show.
True, true. We'll just have to wait and see where they choose to go next in Australia, because I got a feeling it won't be this section of Australia. They may go to Sydney, they may go to Perth. We've seen the WWE go to Perth, and they turned out for Elimination Chamber last year. So I gotta say, that would be one city I would probably highlight on my list of Australian cities for AEW to visit.
Yeah, that was one of the main complaints too I saw was it was far away from where most people are. Um, so, hopefully a big show for them next year. They definitely deserve one after that.
So, Ashley, where can we find you on the Super Information Superhighway?
I'm always skating along with the shows live, and that's on Blue Sky, and my handle is @groovyash.bsky.social.
And make sure you check out her socials on Wednesday night, because she is always live tweeting with Dynamite. and it's always fun to see her opinions as the show goes along. You can follow the show on Twitter at All Elite Radio. We will be back with you this Sunday with a full week of AEW wrestling action. Until then, stay stunning, take care. Top guys out.